Hey, thank you for checking out this video. We're going to take a look at DM tips for Phandelver and Below, the Shattered Obelisk. This is Chapter 5, The Paths of Peril. There will be spoilers here, so if you're a player, please come back after you play the adventure. Chapters 5 through 8 are the new parts that have been added onto the end of Lost Mines, and they are almost their own separate adventure. So you could basically run the last part on its own for a party of 5th level and higher characters, or this is continuing on from Lost Mines of Phandelver. The project lead is Amanda Hammond, and the plot for this part of the adventure is first to find leads that lead the party to Zorzula's Rest. There are a band of goblins that are creating havoc in the town of Phandalin, the village of Phandalin, and the party will find a number of clues. So you'll want to read ahead to the Uncovering the Clues section in the introduction part of Chapter 5 there's clues about the Duergar site, clues about the fragments, clues about the goblin's purpose, and clues about the goblin's leader's name. So familiarize yourself with that. And also, you can look ahead to Chapter 6, I believe it is, where the missing villagers are listed, and the last part of Chapter 5, where the party can find some missing villagers in Zorzula's Rest, and start sprinkling in with the villagers in Phandalin these stories of their missing loved ones. And then the second part of the adventure, the party will infiltrate Zorzula's Rest, defeat Ruxithid, their leader, rescue the hostages, receive some strange telepathic message which comes from the mind flayers who are behind the desire of the goblins to get the shards of the Black Obelisk. The PC levels and challenge for this adventure, assuming 5 PCs, and I base this on the Lazy Encounter benchmark. I put a link in the description below. Note, I also increase monster damage by up to 1.2 times or more, and there's a link below for how I do that. So this adventure starts at level 5 for the first part, and then once the party gets to Zorzula's Rest, it should be level 6. So for level 5, a deadly encounter would be CRs totaling 13 or higher, and for level 6, CRs totaling 15 or higher for 5 characters. Pacing for this, for a 4-hour session, assuming a pretty fast pace like I run, you probably hit 3 sessions. You might hit more if you take a more relaxed pace. Session 1 would be the Townmaster's Plight. Session 2 would be the Stolen Shards. I'm sorry, that'd still be part of Session 1. Session 2, the party should get into Zorzula's Rest, and that might go into Session 3 depending on how the entry into Zorzula's Rest goes. It can go pretty poorly if the party goes straight in, which is what my party did. And that'll definitely lead you into a Session 3. So to pace it, if you want to keep it in more or less sessions, just more or less NPC interactions, add wandering monsters if you want to extend it, remove encounters if you want to shorten it. For maps, I used heroic maps. I actually reused the maps from Chapter 2 for the village, but they have some updated maps. I used some of them for locations in the village where the party is finding bits of the shards. And then they have the new maps for Zorzula's Rest, which I used. Images for the adventure. You can go back and look at Chapter 2 for all the images I used in Phandalin, but for Zorzula's Rest, James RPG Art did a new intro for that, or front doors for that. And down in the description below, I have all the music I used from Tabletop Audio for the different parts of the adventure. And tokens, I put links for the tokens I used, a lot of tokens I used, in the description below as well. So let's look at the adventure. The party's going to come into Phandalin, and there is basically scattered around Phandalin a bunch of different encounters. So I pulled this into basically, I think, 3 main encounters for the party. An introductory encounter here is they're coming into the village along the Tribor Trail with a Goblin side commander, a couple of Goblin side brawlers, and some regular goblins. And that's around total CRs of 9 or so. So a good intro, good tough fight to get the party started. And then a bunch of little skirmishes they can run into throughout the village. There's a table in the Stolen Shards part of the adventure for all the things they can run into around the village. A couple of big set encounters that they can run into. One is the well. And if they go down into the well, they'll come into a cavern where there's a Nautiug. And I actually put 2 in there, and that might have been overkill. It's only a CR5 monster, but it hits pretty hard for CR5. So I had the party fight 2 of those. I'd only do 1 if I ran it again. Then another encounter, there's some stuff about the Sleeping Giant Tavern, where they could run into a couple of goblins, where they find one of the shard missing pieces. We already talked about the well. The Shrine of Luck just has NPC interactions there, no combat there. And the last piece will be out of town. They'll follow some goblin trails out of town. Oh, when they first arrive, the Townmaster is kind of being beset by the villagers, and the party will have to come in there. They'll find out what's going on and maybe find out about some missing villagers this way. Then, next thing out of town here is where they can run into some goblins in a goblin camp. And this will probably be the end of chapter 1. And if it is, as written, it's a little easy. So if you want to make it the climax of a session, I'd beef these guys up. We had 3 of the commanders and 1 brawler. That brings you up to a total challenge rating of 14, which should be close to deadly for your party. Should be good. That'll give them a good end fight. And then they should have all the information they need to find Zorzula's rest. You can let them rest overnight and then head out to Zorzula's rest, as depicted on this map here by Heroic Maps. This beautiful art here by James RPG Art of the entry. Now, this entry is very dangerous. The total CRs here are over 20, so definitely be deadly if the party just goes straight into fights. And that's even with, lower than average numbers of goblins in this main entry hall. So hopefully the party will scout and they could find a secret entrance through the sauna-like room or a secret entrance through a pantry area that a giant badger burrowed. But if they don't, they could go straight in and hopefully they'll know to retreat. I generally don't reduce the difficulty of the encounters. I will increase them if they're not, difficult enough. But generally, if the party is going to run into a big encounter, they need to know when to run sometimes. Okay, then you have 1 person left over from when this place was originally used by Duergar. And before the Duergar used this place, they used it at first and they were overrun by mind flayers. And then goblins came in after that. This man, Joldak, can act as a assistant. Giant Badger, I didn't really have act as an assistant. He's not really the fighting type. Party could come into this room here and fight some Ashenwights. These things are really tough. So be careful with having them fighting against the party. Then the party should find the way down. Now goblins take that way down, so there should be some ladders there or something that goblins might have put up or some ropes dangling. Down here, I put some Gricks. There's 4 Gricks down here. I made them kind of a pink color to match the crystals on this Heroic Maps map. This Adiug is, not too tough for level 6 party, but that's okay. I leave a lot of easy encounters in there. This Augur is really tough, and there's a good chance that if the party comes in and starts fighting these Ashenwights, this is also extremely tough encounter. I didn't have them all fight the party at once. I had them kind of come on to the fight one at a time when the party triggered a fight with these guys. I didn't even have them attack the party as the party made its way to the inner sanctum. Instead, I just had them show the way. And then when the party came back, I had these Ashenwights Psionic Ashenwights started attacking them. And then I only had the FeralAshenwight attack if they were injured. But say the party gets here and the fight starts, and they somehow spill into this chamber with this fiendish augur, which actually is huge by its description, but I just made it large here. This thing hits really hard for CR5, so be careful there. It's Burst of Heat within a 30-foot radius as a bonus action, doing 3d8 damage, which I multiply by 1.3, so a lot of damage. And that recharges on a 5 or greater, which I think it did 1 or 2 times when I had that fight. And I did that fight just kind of fill some time because the party got out of the adventure pretty quick. Okay, the inner sanctum. So this is where the party will come down and face Ruxithid. Now, this fight is only CR 5 and 7 is 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So it's barely a deadly encounter, and it's the climax of the adventure. So I would have these goblin side brawlers come in as soon as possible, maybe even add 1 more. And the main bad guy at only CR 5 and for a party of level 6 characters could go down real fast. He's got legendary resistance will help him. And he's got, of course, the Shield Guardian, which will help him. But that could go pretty quick without that. So overall, the party will find there's no shards here. They can find some missing villagers. So that'll be a rewarding experience for them if they can bring them back to Phandalin. And they'll also find a map. And this map will lead them to more Mind Flayer activity and hopefully more missing villagers and Chapter 6. So that is it for the adventure. I'll put all the links in the description for the stuff I spoke about. And if you run this adventure, leave a comment below. Let me know how it went. Thank you very much for watching.